Yo, what's going on, boys? How you guys doing today? Welcome back to another YouTube video. And in today's video, we're going to be taking a look at what I believe to be the best GM Hunter build this season. It uses a lot of things that are really good this season to essentially give you tons of survivability, the ability to stun every single champion in the game, and also be able to take advantage of invisibility, bolt charge, and also take advantage of a bunch of the good things that are also in the artifact this season. So if you're a big fan of endgame Prismatic Hunter builds, then this one's going to be perfect for you. So hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video, and if you do, remember to like and subscribe to the channel in case you guys haven't already. So let's not waste any more time, let's get into it, and first we're going to start with the exotic piece of armor. So for the exotic piece of armor, we're going to go with the Gifted Conviction, because this thing just gives some crazy survivability this season. Every time that we activate our Ascension, we're going to throw some explosives that jolt targets, and every time that we jolt targets, we're going to gain some damage resistance. And the jolt doesn't necessarily have to come from the Ascension itself. It can be any type of jolt. It can come from our weapons, from our grenades, from our Ascension. As long as we're jolting targets, it's going to give us that damage resistance, so it's going to make us tankier. I'm sure you guys have seen this exotic. People love Rain on Arc, including myself, but I think it still works pretty well with Prismatic and just gives you tons of survivability. Now for the exotic weapon, we're going to be using the Thunderlord. A lot of people have been asking for a build with the Thunderlord this season, and this just kind of seemed like the perfect build to actually use the Thunderlord. Thunderlord is fantastic this season. It's a machine gun, so it can take advantage of a lot of the machine gun mods that we have this season. It comes with built-in overload, so you only need the machine gun mod to stun overloads. Another thing that I got this season is that now every time that you hit something with lightning strikes, you're going to get bolt charge. So it's actually going to help you spam some of that bolt charge as well, just by using the Thunderlord. It is a fantastic weapon this season. It is just good in everything. Now for your other weapons, on your kinetic slot, pretty much the only thing you need is the Tanisha's Mastery. This thing is going to be fantastic, and by itself, it can actually take out all three champions. The Choke Clip will let you deal with the Unstoppables and the Overloads, and it is also anti-barrier, meaning that no matter what champion you run into, this thing is going to be able to deal with it. This is probably just like the best weapon that you can actually take with the GMs this season. It basically can do something in every single one, no matter which one you find yourself in. So Tanisha's is definitely a must-have, and all you need is with Choke Clip. As long as you have Choke Clip, you're going to be able to make this thing into one of the best weapons in the game. And lastly, for your energy weapon, I would just recommend one with jolting feedback. There's actually not that many, but one that you can get very easily is Vantage Point. A lot of you guys may actually already have this from last episode. Or also the one from the dungeon. The other one from the dungeon can also get jolting feedback. And I actually think the other rifle works a little bit better, but I know this one's a little easier to get, so anything that has jolting feedback will be pretty good in this spot. Now for our subclass, we of course have Prismatic Hunter, and for your super I recommend Silk Strike or Silencing Skull. They're both are gonna be pretty good, and they're both gonna give us some damage resistance whenever we pick up some orbs, but we'll get into that a little bit later. Now for your class ability, you want to go with Gambler's Dodge, just so we can get our melees back faster, since we're gonna be using them quite a lot. For your melee, I think Withering Blade still works the best. You're able to stun overloads, you're able to stun unstoppables, and just freezing and slowing enemies down in PvE is still such a strong ability that I still really like the Withering Blade. Even if the Threaded Spike does have a bit more usability with the mods, the Withering Blade is still just amazing. And for our grenade, we're going to have the Grapple. This is going to help us be able to have an easy way of getting in the middle of enemies to activate our Ascension, so we can jolt them and also get a bunch of damage resistance, as well as being able to unravel targets with our grapple melee. And that grapple melee can also proc some of the other things that we have related to charge melees, so it's also going to work pretty well into that aspect of the build. And on top of everything, it has a very short cooldown, so we can actually use it quite a lot. Now for our aspects, we can have a combination of Ascension and also Styled Executioner. Now Styled Executioner is going to give us a bit more safety and survivability in the build, since every time that we defeat a target that's affected by elemental debuff, we're going to be able to go invisible. And we have so many things that apply elemental debuffs: our grenade, our melee, our Ascension, the Chill Clip, all of the jolt that we're going to be making, all of those are going to be applying debuffs, so going invisible is going to be something that we're going to be able to do very often. But the main ways that we go invisible with this build is going to be with our Tanishas and also with our abilities. That's like the main thing. Our second aspect, the Ascension, does so many different things. It's going to give us damage resistance whenever we jolt things, and also just by activating it, since we get some amplified, and whenever we're amplified, we get some damage resistance just right out the bat. So used by activating next to some enemies, we're gonna get the damage resistance from the Amplified, as well as the one from the exotic piece of armor. And on top of everything, we're gonna be jolting a bunch of targets, which then, whenever we defeat them, will go invisible. So even if you feel the damage resistance is not enough to keep you alive, you'll be able to go invisible and just get out. So you have like double the amount of safety you would have usually with the invisibility. We're also going to be getting this back fairly often, maybe not as often as we get it on the Arc version of this build, because it's just crazy on Arc, but we're still going to be able to use our dodge every 10 to 15 seconds, so quite often. Now moving on to the fragments, the very first one we're going to have is going to be the Facet of Hope. Every time that we have an elemental buff, our class ability regenerates more quickly. And since we're always going to be amplified thanks to our Ascension, this fragment is essentially always on, giving us that increased regen, so we can use our Ascension again and just get amplified again, and it's a beautiful process. Even when we don't have any other types of buffs, just having the Facet of Hope and being amplified makes us get our ability back in like 15 seconds. And that's without taking into account all the other things that are also going to be helping us get our ability back faster. Next, we're going to have Facet of Dawn. Every time that we hit something with our power melee, it's going to give us Radiant. And this applies to both our regular melee and also our Strand Grapple melee. So you can actually proc this quite a lot, and that 20% increased damage is very nice. Pretty much on all your weapons is going to be really nice, especially when you gotta take out something big like a champion. That extra damage could definitely make the difference between you killing the champion or not. After that, we're going to have the Facet of Protection. Whenever we're surrounded by enemies, we gain some damage resistance. And this is 15 at base and 25% whenever we are in Transcendence. And this is just some more damage resistance, so we can be even safer. When everything stacks up together, we're going to have a ridiculous amount of survivability, and that's what makes this build so much fun. You're able to use B in the middle of the enemies, fighting all of them all the time, while still being pretty tanky. After that, we have the Facet of Purpose, and this is going to give us either Frost Armor or Woven Mail, depending on the super that you went with, or Overshield you went with like a Void super. Regardless of what super you went with, this is going to be pretty good, and just adds a little more to our survivability. And the final fragment is going to be the Facet of Hope, and this is going to make it so we get some more melee energy or grenade energy, depending if we get some multi-kills with light or darkness damage. If you're getting kills with light damage, you're going to get melee energy, and if you get kills with dark damage, you're going to be getting grenade energy. Regardless of what we're doing though, it's just going to make our abilities come back faster, so we can spam even more abilities. And one thing that I didn't really mention till now is our Transcendence. Since we have a lot of like both light and dark, you can actually spam Transcendence quite a lot on this build. Especially if you're using your Tenacious a lot, that thing builds up Transcendence so fast. Plus our melees and our grapple grenade and melee, it's just going to be something that you're going to be able to pop quite often, so you definitely don't want to hold on to it for too long. Just kind of throw it out there and you'll get it back really quickly. Now for the artifact, we're mostly going to be using the machine gun and the arc ones. For here, you want piercing sidearms, so you can actually deal with every single champion with your Tenacious. And from this slot over here, you want to go with Overcloak and Load, so you can reload your primary as well as your machine gun just a little faster. Whenever we're amplified or have bolt charge, we just have increased handling and reload. And since we're always going to be either of those things, or a lot of times just both of them, we definitely are going to always take advantage of this. For this middle column, Hold the Line and Dielectric are both going to be really good. Whenever we defeat some arc debuff targets, we're going to get some bolt charge, and so anything that we jolt is going to give us bolt charge. And if you boost this one, which you definitely should, whenever we defeat those arc debuff targets, we're going to get health, adding more survivability to the build, and also Ores of Power, which are really going to help us and also our teammates. Hold the Line is going to let you heal with your machine gun whenever you're surrounded, so that's also pretty nice. For the 4th column, Dreadful Finisher is going to be really good. Every time that you finish some powerful combatants or champions, you're guaranteed to get some special ammo. This will always keep your sidearm topped off, so you never really run into any ammo issues. And you also want to have flashover, so whenever you hit something with your lightning bolts from bolt charge, they do extra damage. And for the final column, you're going to have Heavy Ordnance as well as the Defibrillating Blast. The Defibrillating Blast is just something that's really good on everything, in any activity that has champions. Every time that we stun a champion, you're going to get full stacks of bolt charge, and it's also going to trigger an arc bolt that jolts anything around and also heals you. Overall, this is just a fantastic mod for any mode with champions, so you always want to have this on. And then Heavy Ordnance is surprisingly going to give us another way of getting damage resistance. Every time that we do consistent damage with a machine gun, we're gonna get damage resistance and also increase regen on our grenade and our melee so we can spam abilities even more. Machine guns are actually fantastic this season, and this just makes the Thunderlord just even better. Lastly, let's take a look at the mods that we're in on this build. For the helmet, we have Arc Siphon as well as Heavy Ammo Finder. Since we are already getting a bunch of special, we instead are focusing the heavy so we can keep our Thunderlord topped off. And this is just so we can make some morphs with both the Thunderlord and with our primary weapon. For the gauntlets, you want to go Focusing Strike, Impact Induction, and also Heavy Handed. I decided to go with Heavy Handed because we actually have a lot of charged melees we can do. We have our 2 actual melees, and then we have the grapple melee, which also procs Heavy Handed. Focusing Strike is also going to give us some class ability energy whenever we do some damage with our power melees. And Impact Induction will also give us grenade energy, again when doing damage with our power melees. So all of these are all about the power melees, since we have so many of them that we can throw around. For your chest piece, you're pretty much just going to have your resistances. Concussing Dampener, plus whatever the threat is, this time it was Void, are pretty much the ones that you're looking for. This last one didn't really do anything in this case, since there wasn't any combatants that did strand, so this one kinda was wasted this time around. For the boots, we're gonna have Absolution, Insulation, and also Recuperation, so we can heal with orbs, so we can get some more class ability energy every time we pick up an orb, and so we can get everything back whenever we pick up an orb. And lastly, for the class item, we're gonna be keeping it simple, with 2 utility kickstarts so we can use our class ability a lot more often. This is the only way that we're going to be using the armor charge, so we're actually going to be using it quite a lot. And it definitely helps getting our class ability back faster so we can Ascension use a lot more. And with that, it's actually going to be the end of the build, boys. The great thing about this is that it's not really tied to a specific like GM. You can just go into any of them and have a pretty good time with this build. With all the survivability, the ability spam, the ability to deal with every single champion, it is just fantastic, and it's like my go-to build this season. So if maybe you weren't the biggest fan of the art version of this build, maybe give the Prismatic one a try, since that invisibility definitely gives you a bit of fallback if you feel like, you know, things are getting too hot in the middle of all the enemies. You always have like that safety net that you could fall back on to just kind of get out and keep your life. And when it comes to playing with this build, it's gonna be pretty simple. You wanna get in the middle of the enemies. The easiest way usually is gonna be through the grapple. You wanna use your Ascension to like jolt them and get a bunch of your damage resistance, and then you just wanna go off with either your machine gun or with your special sidearm. And when you're doing this, you also kind of wanna be spamming your abilities. You're gonna be getting them back really quickly, so you just kind of just wanna get them out there. Just throwing your abilities out there and doing damage with them will help you get your Ascension back, so you can get even more damage resistance and more jolt on targets, so you can clear more ads and also just constantly go invisible. When you're throwing everything out there, you're just constantly going to be keep going invisible again. So, you know, if you need to fall back, that'll be something you'll be able to do very easily. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the build, and hopefully you guys give it a try in either this week's GM or tomorrow's GM, since this one is coming a little bit later. But thank you for watching today. If you guys do end up using their build, let me know in the comments below what you guys thought about it, and if it helped you get your completions. Anyways, thank you for stopping by, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care everyone, have a good rest of the day, peace.